Hey guys, it's Mr. G again, and I'm back today with more critical thinking this week. Last week we discussed 4 ways to teach critical thinking, and that was asking questions, decision making, working in groups, and the point of view of yourself and of others. We also discussed the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, why. Today we're going to go more in depth into the 5 W's, and we are going to add one extra, which is how. So today we're going to discuss 5 W's and the 1 H. In today's video, we are going to talk about the author's side of everything. We're going to leave the reader side this week and go into what the author does and what the author should think of when writing a story, a book, or anything. So today, we're going to be the authors, and we're going to talk about how we can better our writing and what we can put into our stories or books or things like that. And we are going to start off with the fundamentals of critical thinking from the author's point of view. And the 5 things that we are going to talk about is clarity, accuracy, relevance, precision, and depth. Clarity. Does your work make sense? Will the reader have a clear understanding? With clarity, we want to make sure as the author that what we're writing about makes sense and that the reader will understand what is being said to them, because as an author, you're not going to be there to explain to the reader what you're trying to say. So sometimes when a reader is reading a book, they have to come up with their own conclusions sometimes. But as a good author, we should give the reader, and we will give the reader all the information they need. They should never have to ask, what does this mean? Or what am I supposed to get out of this? Next is accuracy. Critical thinkers seek accurate information in order to get closer to the truth. When writing something, we always want to have the truth in our writing. So as the author, we are still a critical thinker. And being a critical thinking author, we seek accurate information for our stories or anything that we're writing. So if we're writing a story about the zoo and about animals, we want to get all information about the animals that is true. We don't want to put false information into our article or our story about animals. We don't want to sit there and tell the reader elephants fly, and they really don't. But we do want to tell readers that the elephant is the biggest and heaviest animal in the world. We want to give all the facts and the truth in our writing that we can. Relevance. That means the information being put into our story or book will have meaning to the issue being discussed. So I'm going to keep with the example of the zoo and animals. Our issue or our thing that we're discussing is animals. And we are going to seek and make sure everything that we put in about animals are relevant. All the facts that we put in are relevant to the animal and to our story or book. We don't want to start talking about cars and trucks when we're supposed to be talking about animals. If we put in a big section about a car, that's not relevant to our story if our story is about animals. Next is precision. Working hard at the issue before reader's mind is in a different place. What this means is we want to stay precise on what we're writing about. So we want to make sure we give a lot of information about our topic, which in this case we're going to stick with the animals. We want to make sure we give a lot of information about the one specific animal that we're talking about at the time, so that the reader doesn't forget what we're talking about, and so that the reader doesn't get bored of what we're talking about. So with being an author, you want to make sure you give as much information in little time. So we don't want to sit there and keep talking about elephants or lions, and the reader starts to get bored after 2 minutes of listening about facts about an elephant or a lion. The last one in our fundamentals is depth. The one sentence as an author that you should think about when writing is, how deep did I go? Or did I go deep enough into the topic? With that being said, is after reading your story or anything that you wrote, the reader should never have to say, what did that mean? What does that mean? Or they should never ask themselves questions to where they didn't understand what you were saying. You always want to make sure you go in depth, or in other words, make sure you went deep enough into the information for the reader as the author. So you always want to make sure you gave the reader enough information to understand what you were trying to say. If you don't understand what you're trying to say as the author, or you didn't think you put enough information in it for yourself to understand, you didn't put enough information in it for the reader to understand. Now we are gonna go into the 5 W's and the 1 H from the author's side. We will also talk a little bit about the reader's side on it, but we're gonna go deeper into the author's. So first we're gonna talk about the reader's side, as we did last week. We just talked about the 5 W's last week, so this week we're going to add the 1 H. And the 5 W's and the 1 H are who, what, when, where, why, and how. So as the reader, we want to ask ourselves the questions, who is it about? What happened? When did it take place? Where did it take place? Why did it take place? And how did it take place? These are questions you want to ask yourself, because as a critical thinker, these are questions that help us better understand a topic or understand an issue that is being given to us by an author. So, with being the author of an article or a book or anything like that, using these 6 things, the 5 W's and the 1 H, it will be a little like this. So our topic or issue will be animals. We're gonna stick with that to make it easier on ourselves. And we're gonna say, who is it about? So our story is about animals. We don't have to pick one specific animal. We can pick multiple animals. So we're going to just pick 3 animals for now. We're going to pick a lion, a tiger, and we can do an elephant. Now we're going to discuss what happened. What happened, we can say we went to a zoo as the author. So now that we said we went to a zoo, we also just use one of the other W's, which is the where. So we have, where did it take place? Our story is taking place in a zoo. So what happened? We go back to the what happened. And what happened was we saw a lion, an elephant, and a tiger. We saw the tiger growling. We saw the tigers playing together. We could have seen the tigers eat. The lions. We saw the lions growl at us also. We saw them eating. We saw the elephants stomping around. We saw the elephants spraying water out of their trunk. We saw the elephants washing themselves off. When did it take place? With this, for instance, for our story, or for right now's case, we can say it took place Saturday. So ours took place Saturday. It was a nice sunny day outside on Saturday. There was no rain on the Saturday that we went. What time did we go? We went probably like, let's say early afternoon, so 1 o'clock. And we were there probably till 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. Everybody's story will be different. And every author, if me and you are writing about the same topic and going in the same place and everything that we've seen happen the same way, both of our stories are going to be absolutely different because we're two different people and we're going to have two separate point of views. Where did it take place? We already said that. The zoo. Why did it happen? Well, we can say the trip to the zoo happened because it was planned. But why did the elephant act the way it acted? Why did the lion and the tiger act the way they acted? With that, we really can't explain specifically to true detail why it happened, but we can give our opinion on why we think it happened. And we did discuss fact and opinion. So with this story, it would be a lot of opinion in it, but there will also be facts. We will make sure we put a lot of fact into our story so that the reader can understand and have a belief to us, to what we wrote. And how did it happen? Everyone's story is going to be different with this part, especially because everyone's going to sit there and see something different and say, I think it happened like this. This happened in this way because, or this happened in that way because. So everyone's going to have a different way to explaining how something happened. And that can either be their opinion or it can be an absolute fact. With that all being said, that is what we discussed today for the author. We discussed the fundamentals to writing a story as an author or a book or anything as an author. And we discussed the reader side vaguely, and we went into depth on the author's side of discussing the 5 W's and the 1 H. Remember, the 5 W's and the 1 H are the who, what, when, where, why, and how. And you use these every day in life. So don't forget those. Thank you for joining me again this week for our critical thinking course. I'm Mr. G. Hope you come back for more critical thinking videos. Hope to see you again next week where we will discuss more about critical thinking. Bye!